Rental assistance with a grant to you may be the important part of the second stimulus package that no one is talking about. Hey everybody, this is LALATE with a second stimulus check and stimulus package update for today, our fourth of 5 second stimulus check videos. Earlier today, our first video was about the check itself, SSDI, SSI, Social Security, and railroad benefits as well. Our second video was about hazard pay and a great calculation that you need to know that no one else is talking about for that $10,000 hazard pay check. Our third video was about PUA and the extension of the FPUC deadline, which is coming up just a few days away. And finally, our final video today is an EIDL scandal that'll make you laugh and it'll make you get angry at the same time. But this video is about rental assistance and free money to you. There is a lot of stuff in the second stimulus packages that are floating around, but one of the things a lot of people forget to talk about is the rental assistance part of the second stimulus packages. What's going on the table is a lot of stuff, and it's coming in a lot of different directions, and it's coming on a lot of different days. And so what this channel has been trying to do is really keep you up to date too with it. The HEROES Act, which was passed in the House by Democrats and is now in the Senate before Republicans, has a renter's assistance plan and grant program. Days ago, Senator Warren out of Massachusetts entered into the Senate a additional rental assistance plan. Maxine Waters, who is a representative out of California here in California, she has an additional rental assistance plan on the books. Then you have really what's most important for you, the viewer of this channel, your states right now, or your counties right this minute at the time of watching this video. That is actually, that last item is actually law. Let me go over that right now. You need to be very, very aware of what is the current status in where you live for what is called rent moratoriums or rent eviction moratoriums. What does that mean? It means that landlords cannot evict you if you are renting a house or an apartment during this period. They cannot put you on the street. They cannot evict you because you cannot make rent. How do you know if there's a rent moratorium in place in where you live? Well, you need to look at the county and the city, and you also need to look at the state. Generally, governors have big press events when they announce this because it's a very good thing. In California, Gavin Newsom, who's the governor of California, had a big press event just a few days ago to announce that he extended the rent moratorium in California till late August. So that means that anyone in California who's watching this video who cannot make rent and is afraid of being evicted, they will not be evicted during that period of time. So that's the good news. You need to know what is the status where you live. Other places, the status is not as good. A new report, for example, says that in Tucson, Arizona, where apparently they don't have a moratorium, according to this report, there's currently 52 eviction cases pending per day. According to the Arizona Daily Star. In Tennessee, more than 9,000 eviction hearings are pending in the courts. That's up to 33% more than a year before. Some states like Connecticut, Washington, and New York have a temporary ban on evictions that lasts into August. So if you're watching in Connecticut, Washington, and New York, or California, those are states that you should feel a little bit more comfort about, but you still need to be informed. So that's the current situation, not being put on the street, this month. Or even next month because you can't make rent. But how about that free money that I started out with the top of the video? So that is where the second stimulus package really rolls up. And that is coming up for vote when members of the Senate come back from their Tahitian vacation, sipping margaritas while you're struggling to make rent. They come back in late July, and they're going to be taking up a lot of bills that all talk about rental assistance and grants. Let me explain what this is. This is free money. This is not loans. This is not loans. You don't apply for things. This is money that would be sent to you. How would it work, and where would it work, and how would it operate? They basically propose the same thing but phrase it a lot differently depending on who's writing it. A lot of people can write things differently, but they all say the same thing. They want to give free money to you, the renter, if you can't make rent, so that you can pay your rent. So let me make it very clear. This would be a grant for rent and utilities. It's not a grant to go buy some tennis shoes. It's a grant for your rent and for your utilities. It's a really good thing. It's a good thing for, I could say 20 things that's great for. One, it doesn't displace you. Displace is a synonym for saying, kick you on the street or make you homeless. It does not displace you. It helps you keep your home. Second, it helps the landlord, because the landlord gets their rent that they need, because they are in fear of losing their properties because their mortgages are due. Next, it helps banks, because banks are fearful that they're going to have all these properties in foreclosure because landlords don't have money, because the tenants don't have money. So it's a great thing that stops the financial implosion. This channel is called it the financial cliff. Come late July, there's a financial cliff. And the financial cliff is a lot of people are facing evictions. So this grant money would give you grant money that would pay your rent and pay your utilities until the pandemic ends. A lot of viewers always ask me, how do you get the money? I always when I'm doing these videos think about a couple things. I think about, one, how much is it? How do you get it, and how quickly do you get it? But the second one is always the most important. How do you get it? And this is one of those programs where the money comes right to you. It's if you watch my hazard pay video today, I rant a little bit, because I'm saying, hey, the money doesn't come to you. It comes to someone else who has to get it for you and then goes to you. I don't like those ones. This one, actually, the rental assistance comes right to you in your hands, and then you use it, and you pay your landlord your rent, and you pay your utility bill you pay your utilities with the utility grant. It is great. It would come right to you and would only be used for a specific purpose. It is truly wonderful and great news. Now, there's another part to it which is also really great. That part is an extension of the eviction moratorium. So what am I talking about? Because I just told you that there's 9,000 eviction cases in Tennessee pending right now. Well, if this law passed, it would basically throw those cases to the street, because it would say that you cannot evict tenants for unable to pay rent until this date. And the date in most of these bills is about early to middle of next year. It's really great news, because it protects everyone. It protects the renters, it protects the landlords, it protects the banks, and it protects the economy. Ultimately, it is money that's coming from the federal government to keep people in their homes. Next, a lot of you always ask me, how about people who own a home and are afraid to lose their home? Same thing. If you own a home and you're having problems making your mortgage, there's a mortgage moratorium, or a mortgage, they call it different things. It's part of the second stimulus package to ensure that if you can't make your mortgage, that you will not be foreclosed upon by your bank. A lot of relief for a lot of people being done at the same time, and it's so urgent. The moment these moratoriums are lifted, we will see massive evictions, says Emily Benfer, who's a clinical professor at the School of Law at Columbia Law School. It's just so important. Jacqueline Simone, who's a policy analyst at the Coalition for the Homeless, says, we see anecdotal some people have become newly homeless due to the informal evictions, particularly for people who did not have a formal lease in their name. It's really horrible. What does Diane Yentl, president of the National Low Income and Housing Coalition, say about this? She says state and local eviction moratoriums are expiring rapidly, and courts are beginning to address the backlog and new eviction cases, and they're putting people out of their homes in the middle of the pandemic and in places where COVID-19 is raging out of control. There's really nothing worse than having a tenant become a homeless person during a pandemic, because all the medical reports ever published about COVID-19 say that that COVID cases among homeless people is really, really a big concern. This is a bill that protects renters from losing their housing, says Warren. So as I told you, Elizabeth Warren proposed a bill earlier this week, which basically does the same thing, extends things the next year, gives you rental checks, gives you grants. If they lose their jobs or have their house hours cut during the crisis, they're going to be evicted. It also makes sure that the renters don't get hit with freezes or penalties. It's a tsunami of evictions. Very well said. In California, one organization is providing homeless services to new shelters. We're setting up 600 beds, 700 beds just since COVID started per day, says Joel Roberts, CEO of the People Assisting Homelessness in California. It's very, very serious. If you're here in Los Angeles and you know where the Veterans Administration is and you drive around it, there's one here in West Los Angeles. If you drive around it, you see that what would have been, 2 or 3 homeless people on the street, there's now literally an embankment of homeless people that goes over a half mile or a mile long. You see homeless embankments in cities just growing exponentially all the time. That's not anything but what we're talking about here. It is people who are newly evicted, who have nowhere to go. There were 88 comments about this yesterday. Let me answer some of them as well. Michelle, the CARES Act has money for landlords as well. The landlords need to read the CARES Act. Yes, that is the mortgage forbearance, the freeze on being foreclosed upon if you can't meet your mortgage. Danielle, Florida needs to do this. Well, this would be a federal law, Danielle, so this would apply for everyone. Servant, if we don't get these moratoriums, we're looking like Purge 2. Sarah, I've been waiting for 3 years and still got nothing. Gregory, my landlord has raised my rent. Well, Gregory, I'd love to know if that landlord actually got an offer to rent his place. I mean, who raises rent in a pandemic? That is just sort of, ridiculousness. What about people's bills? Yes, who is this? Heather, what about people's bills? It would cover utilities. Nickel, what's too late for me because I lost my home already. I'm sorry to hear that, Nickel. That's awful. So sorry. Eric, thank you for dealing with this topic. It's so important. It is important. I mean, the second stimulus is just not a single check. It is everything else. It's people's jobs. It's people's rent. It's people's unemployment benefits. That's why I'm doing 5 videos per day, because there's so many things that you need to be informed about, and a lot of them multiple videos apply to each person every day. Jody, I really like this guy. He explains a lot to us better than the other ones. I've been listening to you for 100%. I like the way you keep us updated. Thank you. I'm trying to go through all these details because they're, let me give you an anecdote. This is sort of interesting. I have a friend who's very educated, and he reads the news and he knows everything, but he did not know about a lot of this stuff. He had never heard of any of this stuff. And so a lot of people who read the news, understand the news, are very educated, have not heard about all these things. And that is why this channel, I guess, is doing well, 10,000 new subscribers a day, because there's a lot of stuff out there, and the stuff is being passed or being proposed for you, to help you. But it doesn't help you if you don't know it exists. And so my job is to help inform you what it is, get you ready for it, get your application in on it, and get you teed up so that you get it if you're eligible. Mimi, if Florida doesn't stop the process in the filing, the sheriff is going to come knocking on the landlords. What about in Texas? Elizabeth, so a lot of you are asking, what about my state? What about my state? This is a federal law. So, what I talk about with Gavin Newsom and the the eviction moratoriums currently, you need to see when we're sitting here in early July, you need to see what's happening in your county, state, and city. As I said, California, New York, a few of them have laws on the book that they cannot evict you currently, and that covers the whole state. If your state was not one that I included in the list when I read a few minutes ago early in this video, then you need to check. If your state is not included, the laws that are being proposed in the second stimulus check are federal laws that would cover every single city in the country. Jody, I have a rent eviction on me because my trailer I rented leaks and I have rats on my floor falling in. Lori Ann, has the extension for renters being protected from eviction been made for people in Green River, Wyoming? Well, the federal law has not been passed yet, but Wyoming may have state laws or state orders issued by your governor again. So let me recap. If you're watching this video and you are worried, please get yourself informed about if your city, county, or state currently has a moratorium on rent eviction. If they don't, then you need to be teed up for the federal law, which is coming up for proposal in the next couple of weeks. If you have questions about today's video, drop your comments below and we'll answer them in that video. As always, stay with LA for more.